What's up, guys? It's Richie Rich back yet again, and today I'm bringing you a review of Batman Vendetta in Gotham. Be sure to check it out. Okay, the next story is Batman Vendetta in Gotham, and this was published in 1993. So, Vendetta in Gotham brings back Judge Dredd back to Gotham to really pick a fight with Batman. Judge Dredd ultimately has an ulterior motive that brings something very interesting to the whole plot of the story. Now, Vendetta in Gotham is a much shorter story than Judgment on Gotham. But it's much shorter than Judgment on Gotham. So the story begins with three criminals getting away in their car, and they've stolen a safe from a bank in Gotham City. Batman comes to the scene. He intercepts them. He actually jumps on the car whilst they're driving, manhandles them, quickly takes them out. As soon as Batman captures these criminals, Judge Dredd from Mega City 1 makes another dimensional jump, and he appears in Gotham City. To Batman's dismay, because Batman actually, after he captures the criminals, he goes to his Batmobile, and Judge Dredd comes on his massive bike. So when Judge Dredd arrives, immediately on his bike, he fires at the Batmobile, something that scrambles the Batman's ride, and is unable to drive properly. So Batman loses control. He smashes onto a wall, and Judge Dredd actually comes off his bike and he goes to see Batman. When Batman's actually inside the car, he waits for Judge Dredd to actually peek into the window, his Batmobile window, and he gives him another punch. It seems to be an ongoing thing with Batman punching Judge Dredd, clearing the face, but it happens here again. So Batman lays like a big fist onto Judge Dredd, and they begin a fight that carries on pretty much for the whole book. Meanwhile, Scarface and Ventriloquist, they're on a mission to the Senator's daughter. So the Senator of Gotham City, his daughter's having a school play, like a performance. And Scarface actually wants to settle his score with the Senator by attacking his daughter. So whilst Batman is fighting Judge Dredd, Scarface is trying to kill the Senator's daughter, and a lot of the Gotham citizens who are going to attend will be in the audience. He wants to kill all of them. Whilst they're both fighting, the fight's looking pretty even, until Judge Dredd lands a couple blows on Batman. Batman hits in a few kicks. It shows it in a wonderful art, like in a cool panel, fighting with each other in a box art. So it shows Batman punching Judge Dredd, Judge Dredd doing the same thing, punching Batman. Both of them carry on fight. It shows it in a wonderful box art panel, which shows a collection of Batman and Judge Dredd's fighting. So as the train is still on the tracks, moving towards its destination, Batman and Judge Dredd still laying a battle on top of the train. Both of them are hitting each other with blows. Judge Dredd getting a few nice kicks in, Batman getting a few punches in. Judge Dredd gets the upper hand. He grabs Batman and throws him onto the second car of the train. Batman nearly loses his grip and is about to fall. Then it quickly switches back to Scarface and the Ventriloquist. They're making their plans to blow up the performance for the Senator's kid. Whilst and in their plans, Scarface actually disguises himself as one of the children who are performing in the show. So they actually put a costume on him so he can resemble the other kids performing in the show. as Batman's losing his grip and is about to fall, Judge Dredd jumps over. Judge Dredd actually makes his way to to Batman, puts his hand out and grabs Batman onto top of the train. They both, however, lose their balance and fall off their train into the sea. Whilst they're in the sea, Batman's like, well, what gives? First you tried to fight me, now you try to save me. Judge Dredd quickly replies, you know me, regular Samaritan. Then he punches him directly in the face, smacking Batman on the face. They both land onto the shore, and Batman again lands another blow to Judge Dredd, tells him has he had enough, and to his amazement, Judge Dredd says, a 7:45, I guess that will do. We find out is Judge Dredd has been timing the whole fight, because even from the opening when Judge Dredd comes down, Judge Dredd makes his way to Gotham. There's a picture of him checking his time at the beginning of the Vendetta in Gotham. So he checks his time again. It says 7:45. And Batman, surprised, he said, you've been timing us. He grabs one of the newspapers, which is actually tomorrow's newspaper, and gives it to Batman. On the paper, it says that Batman is dead, and he's risked his life trying to save the children in the performance where the ventriloquist, the Scarface, and the senator's daughter were. So what Judge Dredd had, he basically had the future, what happened the time when Batman tried to save them, and he came back in time to prevent that from ever happening. So he needed to have Batman distracted, so he didn't go try to save the senator's kids and all the people who attended the show. Once Judge Dredd has explained everything, Batman realizes that the Garrison Centers, which is the place where Scarface, the ventriloquist, and having the children's performances, is not too far from where Judge Dredd and Batman were fighting. It's actually only 2 blocks away. Batman initializes that. Batman believes he can still make it there in time. Quickly grapples onto the rooftops and makes his way to the Garrison Centers. Judge Dredd thinks he's completely bonkers, jumps back on his bike, proceeds to chase Batman to the where Batman's proceeds to chase Batman. Batman fortunately arrives where Scarface and the ventriloquist are before they detonate the bomb. Before he actually goes to the senator's kid, tells the kid it's alright, don't be afraid. I only want the Scarface door, the door that was. I want the dummy that you have that's going to explode. And just right behind ventriloquist, with the detonation control in his hand, is just about to press the button. Judge Dredd actually gets to the scene as well, intervenes, blasts the detonation control before ventriloquist is gonna press it. Unlucky for them, though, another one of Scarface's henchmen actually gets the controller, is about to press it. So Batman, in swift thinking, he grabs the door, throws it outside the center, and the bomb actually explodes outside, not harming anyone. So the explosion occurs outside, and everyone is safe. Batman and Judge Dredd take out Scarface and the ventriloquist, tie them up, wait for the cops to come in, haul them back to jail. After that, Batman and Judge Dredd have a talk, and Batman is still confused. That he says he doesn't understand. There's been no we've not had any relationship. Why would you risk your time to try and save me? Judge Dredd responds personally, I wouldn't have bothered. As far as I'm concerned, just a lawbreaker. But what he brings out, he actually lets us know. He tells that he had a premonition that someday Batman and Judge Dredd are going to work together to save Mega City 1, where Judge Dredd is from, in the future, so he needed Batman alive. That was the reason he came back. He came from Mega City 1 to delay Batman, because he needed him alive, because in the future they're gonna work together to save Mega City 1. So so Judge Dredd gets on his bike, uses the dimensional teleportation to go back to Mega City 1. He says sayonara to Batman, tells him that, so it looks like we're gonna be meeting again. Batman replies, great, I wait with bated breath. And there's a nice shot of Batman on top of the gargoyles back on patrol. And that is the end of Vendetta in Gotham. So, my thoughts on Vendetta in Gotham are kind of drawn, it's a very first and foremost, the story is very short. It's like bridging the gap between what happened in Judgment in Gotham and what's going to be in the next story, which is the ultimate riddle, the last story, which is Die Laughing. So it's more like an in between, like a filler kind of a comic kind of book. So it's thing. I'd say the artwork is obviously Campbell Kennedy's work is nowhere near the same level as Simon Bisley. It's the artwork's more rendered in a cartoonish kind of style, which I felt Bisley's style captured more of like how Batman is, like the darkness, the brooding, and Judge Dredd is very similar, that very kind of stoic kind of atmosphere. Bisley was able to capture that in his drawings, and it made Judgment on Gotham. It made that Judgment on Gotham even more better just because of Bisley's artwork in that, because the story is pretty much in a way kind of I wouldn't say too much similar to Vendetta and Gotham, but it's very basic. Scarecrow and Judge Dredd are working together just to take out the teens at the rock concert. Whereas this one is another Vendetta and Gotham similar thing. Scarface is the only villain in this one, and all he wants to do is just kill the senator's daughter. So it's very simple. The only thing is this is very condensed story. It's very short. It's very smaller because majority of the time during the book, Judge Dredd and Batman are interlocked in a battle, and whilst they're fighting, the reader doesn't really know why they fight until right at the end, which releases a big plot kind of twist for the future events in the story. But I would say that with this book you can't read Judgment Vendetta and Gotham by itself. I'd say Judgment on Gotham by itself, it can stand alone well. If you just had that, it's good enough to be its own whole story by itself. But with reading Vendetta and Gotham, it's like a filler. You're reading that to see what happens in the next story, rather than just be its own standalone. But I mean, as a collection, it's a good film. But by itself, I don't think it has enough content to be considered a great story. Judgment on Gotham and the other two, which I'll get onto later. But I'd say if I'd have to score this out of 5, with all things together with the collection and that, and another thing I've got to mention is the villain. I feel when it goes to villains, if you're coming from Scarecrow and Judge Dredd, I know they're not the main villains of Judge Dredd or Batman. Scarecrow's pretty up there. He's one of Batman's part of the Rogues Gallery, so he's probably Batman's 5th or 6th. But to go from Scarecrow to Scarface is a big downgrade. I know Scarface is for me, for my personal opinion, I know Scarface and ventriloquist suits the Batman character because it's both it's an insane character, but I feel he's not really a top ranking Batman villain, and to put him in the story kind of makes the story a bit weaker as well. But with all that fact, I'd say if I give this a score, I'd give it a 2.5 out of 5. It's a good filler. It's a good filler, because it's not the biggest story, But I mean, one thing you'll keep interested with the fight between Batman and Judge Dredd, because that takes part in a lot of areas in Gotham, you know, and it's very good when you see it, because they're both like brawling. It's more of a brawling fight when they fight. You know, it's not too much like they're not using weapons. You know, Batman's not like strategically like using like his like utility weapons or that. No, they both take it off. It's just a straight up brawl. You know, two guys, same power, same strength, fighting it out. You know, and that's what's like the biggest like draw from the story. You know, so yeah, I'd say 2.5 out of 5 is a fair result, fair score. You know, for this story. You know, I obviously enjoy this, like reading it. You know, straight. I would recommend that anyone who's reading this, make sure you read the whole collection. You know, this is not standalone. You can't just read this and not read the other ones. You know, definitely read this one. Also check out Ultimate Riddle and Die Laughing. You know, so which I'm actually going to be, you know, reviewing on that in the future as well. So that's my thoughts on Vendetta and Gotham. Stay tuned for the next review, which will be Batman: The Ultimate Riddle, which is one of my favorites out of the Judge Dredd collection. Yeah, so one of my top favorites, and not even just the Judge Dredd collection. You know, one of my favorite stories. You know, of the crossovers between Batman and other characters. So yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, stay tuned because